Today we'll be discussing the following topics: identifiers, variables, constants, keywords, data types, Java coding conventions, sequential programs, conditional programs. Identifier, as according to the name, which identifies something. It is a name given to a class, a variable, constant, or a method. Therefore, it identifies a class, a variable, a method, or a constant. There are some rules for declaring a legal identifier. Identifier must start with a letter, a dollar sign, underscore. It cannot start with a number. After the first letter, it can contain numeric characters. No limit to the number of characters an identifier can contain. Cannot use keyword in identifier name. There are some predefined keywords. The compiler has a special meanings for those keywords. We cannot use those keywords in the name of identifier. If we will use, there will be a compile time error, because since compiler has some already defined meaning, and if you will use that keyword in the name of identifier, it will use the predefined meaning for it. So there will be a compile time error. Identifiers are case sensitive, means small c is different to capital C. Identifiers are case sensitive. These are the keywords which you should keep in mind when you are declaring identifiers, so that you don't commit any mistake while using these names. Variables. What are variables? It's like a cup or a container which can hold something. It has a specific size and a type. There are two types of variables: primitive variables and reference variables. Primitive type and reference type. We are going to look first at variables. Analogy is cup that holds primitives. We are going to look first at variables or cup that holds primitives. Then a little later we'll look at cups that hold references to objects. Primitives are like the cups at the coffee house, say at Starbucks. They come in different sizes and each has a name like a short, tall, grande. Similarly, Java variables come in different sizes: byte, short, integer, and long. You cannot use byte in place of a short and short in place of a long. Compiler will not let you do that. It will have a compile time error. But if you are doing so, you have to explicitly typecast byte to an integer, short to a long. That is typecasting from a smaller size variable to a bigger size variable. Then only compiler will let you compile your code. But if you are using long for short, compiler won't have any problem. It will let you compile your code, because Java supports implicit typecasting from a smaller size variable to a larger size variable. This is upcasting, which is automatically supported by Java. We'll be having a very good example in the next slides, this typecasting and typecasting, example of downcasting and upcasting. We'll be discussing it later in the coming slides when we'll be discussing the reference variables rules. This is a very good example. Like, there is a container for a giraffe and there is a container for a rabbit. If you want to put a rabbit in a giraffe container, then you can do it. Since an rabbit has a small size and giraffe container has a big size, you can put small rabbit in a big giraffe container. Similarly, you can put smaller size byte into a short. Short has bigger size, you can put it into that. But if you want to put a giraffe into a rabbit container, since giraffe size is bigger than the container of the rabbit, you have to expand the container of the rabbit. Then only you can put the rabbit into the rabbit. Then you can only put the giraffe into the rabbit container. This is a case with downcasting. When you want to use long in place of a byte, then you have to explicitly typecast the variables. These are the primitive data types list. Primitive comes in different sizes with different names. When you declare a variable in Java, you must declare with a specific type. Like Boolean is of 1 bit, it has only 2 values, either it is a true or a false. Character variable is of 16 bits, that is 2 bytes. The range is 0 to 65535. Byte is 8 bit or 1 byte. The range is minus 128 to 127. Short is of 16 bits or 2 bytes. The range is minus 32768 to 32767. Integer is 32 bits or 4 bytes and the range is this. Long is 64 bits or 8 bytes and the range is huge to huge. Float and double are 32 bits and 64 bits respectively, and the range varies according to the processor, or the we can say operating system. First let me tell you how to calculate the range of these variables. You don't have to memorize the range of these variables, and there is a very easy way you can learn the order of the size. Like, just remember byte, short, int, long. These are the you can easily learn the size of a boolean, that is 1 bit. It's so easy, you can remember it. Character is 16 bits because it's not assigned. Just remember that character is 16 bit. And for learning byte, short, int for differentiating, but just remember byte, short, int, long. This order should remain into your mind. 8, 16, 32, 64. It's like doubling from 8. 8 and 8 to the 16 is short, and 16 to the 32 is integer, and 32 to the 64 is long. Just remember this, like BSIL. You can just remember this. And for calculating the range, there is very good way. For example, you are calculating the range of byte. Byte is of 8 bits. Allocate a block of 8 bits in the memory for putting this byte variable. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. The first bit will be reserved for the sign of the variable. Like, since a byte is assigned, it will reserve for either a positive or a negative. It will indicate the sign, and the rest of the 7 bits will define the range. Like, the range will start from minus 2 to the power of 7 for all the negative byte variables to positive 2 to the power of 7 minus 1. Why we have used minus 1? For 0. In between negative variables to positive variables, there will be 1 0. That's why we have deducted 1. This is the range, minus 128 to 127. You can calculate the range of integers, like it's a 16 bits, minus 2 to the power of 15 to 2 to the power of 15 minus 1 for short. Okay, you can calculate. For integer and for long also you can calculate. And for characters, since it is only positive, you can calculate 0 to the power of 16 minus 1. There are reference variable types. What are the reference variable? Reference variables holds bits that represents a way to access an object. It does not hold the object itself, but it holds something like a pointer or an address. Actually, there is no such thing as object variable. There is only an object reference variable. An object reference variable holds bits that represents a way to access an object. It does not hold object itself, but it holds something like a pointer or an address. In Java, we don't really know what is inside a reference variable. We do know that whatever it is, it represents one and only one object, and JVM know how to use a reference to get to that object. You cannot stuff an object into a variable. We often think of it that way. We say things like I pass string to system.out.println method, or method returns string object, or I put a new string object into the variable named A. But that is not what happens. There are not giant expandable cups that can grow to the size of any object. Like the reference variable cannot put any object. It cannot be big that, because object has a size, and maybe it has a big size. So the reference variables cannot contain that size. Objects live in only one place, that is heap. We will be discussing when we will be discussing garbage collection about the heap area of memory. For now, just remember that objects are created in the heap area of memory. All the objects goes into the heap. Primitive, and the example, if we see this example, reference type, string B is equals to Java, or let's say B will contains bits that represents a way to access to that Java literal. Or take another example. It will not contain, finishing this example, it will not contain the actual Java string object, but B just contains the bits that represents a way to get to that Java object. For example, just create a simple object. Class A is equals to new A. For example, there is a class, and this is the way to create an object. We will be discussing it in later chapters. The variable A is the reference variable to get to the object of this class A. A does not contain the object itself. If you will print A, you will get a hash value. This is the hash value, is the hash code for the object. This is the method defined in the object class. We'll be seeing that object is the class that is automatically inherited by each and every class of Java. This is very important thing to remember. Java has inheritance in each and every class, because each Java class extends object class, and object has this method hash code. We will be discussing it in later, but just remember that every class automatically extends object class. This is very, very important thing in Java. A will return you a hash value. There will be a mapping of this hash value to the address in the memory, to the address of the object in the heap. And this variable give you access to that address which is mapped, and you can get the object through that address by using this reference variable. If you will print this A, you will get a hash value. Like dog D is equals to new dog. D dot path. Think of a dog reference variable as a dog remote control. D, by using D, you can get to the dog object. You can perform any operation defined in the dog class. You use it to get to the object to do something. Invoke a method, or you can access a variable. Primitive versus reference type. This is a very good example. integer a is equals to 100, integer b is equals to 200, integer c is equals to a. This is 100. That is why we say that primitive represents bits. Like C has the bits representing the actual value 100. It does not like you are accessing something, you just directly get to that value by using C variable. You just access the value directly. But if we see this example, the object reference variable are in this case string A, string B and string C. Just see this. A, Java object reference, Java. World is another string object, B, world reference, and C is equals to A. So C will not return you the value of the object, that is Java, but it will give you bits. That represents a way to get to that Java object. Like A have the bits for getting the Java object, now C will have the bits to get to the Java objects. Like C will point to the same object as A is pointing. Like this. Okay? This is the very good example differentiating both primitive and reference type. There is a primitive variable A is equals to 100 and integer B is equals to 100. And when you will compare both the variables and will print it out, this will print you true because the value is same. You are getting value in both the variables. But if you are using it in reference variables, like here string A is equals to new string hello and string B is equals to new string hello, and when you are comparing A reference variable to B reference variable, it will give you false because they are not comparing the actual value, but they are comparing the bits that provides a way to access to that object. It's the reference type checks address in this case, that hash value. It returns true if both addresses or references are same. Like in the previous example, if we will compare C and A, it will give you true because both the references are same. But here both the references are different, that's why it will give you false. So how I compare values in reference type? Because this operator checks, this comparator operators check address not value, we'll use equals method. This equals method is defined in the object class, which each and every class extends. So we'll see this method in the coming lectures. If we'll see the output of this A dot equals B, it will give you true because here it will compare the values of reference A and B. Now constants, as the name implies, constants are fixed values which never change. Example, final integer max is equals to 100. Final keyword is used to declare a constant in Java. If you are declaring a constant, use final keyword. Final keyword has other uses we will be seeing in the next chapters. Keywords as we have discussed are the reserve words which has some special meanings for the compiler, like if, while, integer, break, and many more we have seen the chart. These are some Java coding conventions which you should follow in writing Java programs. It's not like that if you don't follow these Java coding conventions, then the compiler will not let you compile your code. You can the code will compile, but it's not a good practice. It's a practice. It's like conventions. So you must follow these coding conventions while writing a Java program. Class is an interface. The first letter should be capital and the first letter of the inner word should be capital. Like this. Account, print writer, employee. A is capital, P and W are capital, E is capital, and methods. The first letter should be lowercase and then normal camel case rule should be followed. Like this. Get balance method. You have get balance method. G is small and B is capital. This is the camel case rule. Set customer name, S is the small and customer name. You are getting the customer name, therefore C is capital. Variables have the same rule as the method rule. Constants all in uppercase, like this, minimum underscore height. This is the best practices of coding. Now we have seen the main method in our first Java lecture. Now we will see what can be included in the main method. Main method can contain sequential statements, it can contain conditional branching, and it can contain loopings. Writing sequential statements, similarly like in C, you write sequential statements, simply write the logic in the one main method. This is like this, it's very simple. And Java decision making statements using if else or using switch. Like in C, we have done it in Java. Here in if and else, there is one differentiation from C and C++. In this condition, in this if condition, you must have a boolean value. It cannot have integer value like in C or C++. Here in the if condition, the result must be a boolean. Either it should return either true or false. Like in C, we have seen if 1 or if a is equals to 1, a integer positive variable is considered to be a true in C or C++. But here, if we will use 1 here, it will have a compile time error. It will never let you compile your code. JVM will never let you compile your code. So there must be a boolean condition here in if block. This is a switch. It's it's simply like C, switch A, case 1, case 2, case 3, and break. If A is 2, the condition, this is the case, Monday will get printed, and then break. Switch only allowed integer, byte, character type from Java. From Java 7, string is also supported. Here you can have an integer, byte, char type. You cannot have like long or float. You cannot have float A is equals to 2.1 or double A is equals to 2.3. Like in this switch, you can have only these. And from Java 7, string can also be used in switch. And the looping, it's like C or C++. When you want to repeat something for a definite number of times, it is called a loop. Java has 3 basic loops: for loop, while loop, do while loop. In JDK 1.5, Java introduces one more loop called enhanced for loop. This is while loop. Here also we need only boolean test. It cannot have an integer value like in C, which is considered to be a positive. It can have only and only a boolean result. Here in while condition, you can have only a boolean. It cannot have while 1, true or false condition. System.out.println I++. It's a simple while loop, and for loop is you are knowing the length for I is equals to 1 to I is less than or equal to 10 I++. This is the do while loop. Do while loop is executed once, at least once. The difference between while loop and do while loop is that while it may be possible that while loop does not execute anytime, but do while loop will be executed at least one. And this is the enhanced for loop introduced after Java JDK 1.5 version. This is the example. Integer A is equals to 10, 20, 30, and we have used just integer X A. We don't need to know the length of the array. We just put a variable. We just use a variable X and I iterated over the array and get the variable. This is the enhanced for loop we'll be using in the next lectures. It's a very important loop which are being used in the industry. So this is for today.